Hello,
Yeah,
everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Facebook Live. Thanks so much for being here every week. We do these, for the most part, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So thanks for tuning in every week. And today we're going to do an interview with my friend Eileen Durfee. We're going to be talking about salt. So we're going to be busting a ton of myths that you have about salt and talking about why you need to mineralize your body, why you need minerals for detox. We're going to be answering all of your questions. So please, any question that comes up, please leave a comment and we are going to answer it. And we're going to be talking about the problems with most salts, things that you may not be aware of, and why Himalayan salt can be bad for you. There's some negatives with Himalayan salt we're going to discuss. What to look for when choosing a salt, why minerals are crucial for detoxing heavy metals. It's the basic foundational principle of my Myers detox protocol. And why you have to consume salt to hold on to water and be properly hydrated. A lot of people drink water and just runs right through them if they go to the bathroom because they don't have enough minerals to hold on to that water. So that's interesting. And we'll talk about why you constantly have to go to the bathroom and wake up to pee and how to fix this, and my number one mineral salt recommendation. So Eileen, thanks for joining us.
oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I love the topic of minerals. Minerals are so important. Minerals help me recover my health. And I just keep talking about this over and over and over because I really need to drive home that point. You have to be taking minerals to be healthy, to have a relaxed nervous system, to feel calm, to reduce stress. You have to have minerals to sleep, or your body just isn't going to work correctly without minerals. So we need salt. Salt's an important source of minerals. So tell us some things we may not really be aware of about, just regular sea salts. What are some of the issues with regular sea salts?
Well, you have both the kind that are taken right out of the ocean or wash up on the shore, or the ones that are mined from a old seabed deposit, like in the Himalayan mountains. But all these salts, one thing that they have in common is they're extremely high in sodium chloride. Now, yes, from test analysis reports, we know that they have trace elements in them. And a lot of the marketing that's done on these sea salts is it talks about these minerals that you're getting, and they act like it's a huge amount, where all these sea salts are usually between 97 to 98.5% sodium chloride. And then that leaves, not very much minerals. And then some of those salts have a huge high percentage of like sulfur. For instance, Himalayan actually only has 0.8% minerals. When you look at the analysis report of Himalayan salt, for instance, it's 1 part per million magnesium. Now, when you compare that to healthy salt is 6,800 part million magnesium.
Yes.
So it's just a huge difference. And people, I actually threw away my Himalayan salt. We'll go into the reason why that's not so good for you. But I read the packaging and I busted into laughter because it made it sound like you were going to get so mineralized. And here I know it's less than 1%. I'm just like going, oh my gosh. And I think that's the huge difference between the healthy salt and all the other salts on the market, and why people actually feel the difference is because they're getting minerals. And
your salt, what you're talking about, the healthy salt, that's your brand here from Creatrix Solutions, called Healthy Salt. We're going to be talking about that throughout the podcast or the Facebook Live. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys so you know what we're referencing. But yeah, it's just a great discovery that you made because, you know, salting our food is a really important way to get minerals. So you might as well maximize the amount of minerals you're getting as long as you're, you know, you're using salt.
Yeah, and the other key difference between healthy salt and all the other salts out there is the pH. You know, I mean, there's books on alkalize or die, you know, trying to shift to eating a more alkaline diet. You know, there's a lot of benefits, you know, just because of how the outside of our cells are kind of like in an ocean of alkalinity, and we need that drop from the inside of the cell being acid to alkaline. So there is, you know, huge health benefits of being more neutral or slightly alkaline. And when we're drinking coffee or just all these different things, our bodies tend to run more acid. And so with a salt that comes in at 10.72 pH, that's tremendous. I mean, the other salts, you know, I mean, there's some as low, like the favorite one. There's probably more Himalayan salt sold than any kind of salt, but it's ranges like around 6%, you know, 6 pH. And then the longer you leave it in the water, the lower it drops. It drops actually down to a 5. And
Yeah, it's
so
so many people are using, like, doing Sol, that they're putting Himalayan sea salt in water and drinking that, and it actually is not alkalizing them like they're hoping.
correct. And actually, they did tests. There's lab reports where the longer the Himalayan salt stayed in the water, which is what happens when you make a jar of Soleil. It sits on the counter for days. The ORP goes higher and higher and higher and higher. So that's like oxidation. That's like, so any minerals you were getting in the salt, actually that high oxidation is going to be breaking them down. So it's slightly inflammatory. And so what I would rather see people do is to get a high pH salt that has a lot of minerals, that doesn't raise the, you know, the ORP, so it's got more of an antioxidant effect.
Yes. And healthy salt also has a negative charge also. Can you talk about that in comparison to other salts?
Yeah, I actually called the laboratory to find out, you know, how I could pay to have this test done. I kept on calling and emailing Dr. Gerald Polak, the author, you know, of the fourth phase of water, because he found out that we just don't have frozen water, liquid, and vapor. We have a fourth phase that's negatively charged water. And so, anyway, after talking to the guy in the lab and a physics guy, he said, oh, there's a simple test to see if something is negatively charged or not. So you take, you can Google this, but you can take a glass jar and a piece of silk cloth and rub the jar with the silk. So then the jar becomes positively charged. So then if the salt attracts and stays on the jar, that means it's negative, because the negative and positive go together. So it's like a experiment that people do in high school and college, you know, in physics. So, okay, so I got the jar and the silk and rubbed it, and sure enough, the outside, you know, of the jar, it's got like the powder coating of healthy salt. So healthy salt is negatively charged. And the reason why we're bringing this up is because it has to do with hydration and energy storage in the body. With Gerald Polak's research, he discovered the fourth phase of water. They're naming it EZ water for the exclusion zone. And what happens with this water is it becomes denser, more like a gel, and actually holds a negative charge, which before they didn't believe that water had a negative charge. And so on the outside of the cell, the water, it's like an ocean of alkalinity. And what they found is that when there's negatively charged water molecules on the outside, it creates this pathway that just kind of like goes inside each cell. And it allows protons to be provided to the inside of the cell, which is extremely important because there's molecular debris cleanup that takes place on the inside of the cell. And these lysosomes are on the inside of the cell, and they are supposed to drop the pH on the inside of the cell, and they can only do that when they're supplied with protons. So this negative water is injecting protons in there. The lysosomes drop the pH like a rock. Then you have this energy, hydroelectricity taking place because of the differential between the alkaline and the acid. And they never knew before what drove the osmotic flow. And so now it's this negatively charged water that's driving the osmotic flow, which happens to grow when you shine light on it. So it's a wonderful benefit of using healthy salt when you're taking a near infrared sauna, because it just is another pathway. Not only are your mitochondria producing ATP and energy from the light, now when you use healthy salt in your water and you have proper alkalinity on the outside of your cells, and then the light shines on them, it's like you just get this rush of energy of hydroelectricity. But hey, we're doing all this so we can detoxify. So what better tool than to provide the inside team of the cell what it needs to clean up our molecular debris? It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start taking minerals, you start seeing more and more heavy metals coming out on your hair mineral analysis or other metals tests, because metals and minerals occupy the same enzyme binding sites in the body. And if you're mineral deficient, your body is forced to accumulate and retain and hold on to metals. And conversely, when you consume minerals, you give the minerals the body needs, it pushes heavy metals out. And we see this on metals testing as well. Can you talk a little about that?
Well, when I first came across healthy salt, I was very skeptical because it was the most expensive salt in the world. And this Korean acupuncturist, he had all these jars of water with acid. Kirkland purified water is acid, folks. Don't be drinking it. But he had that in the glasses, had his pH drops, put a pinch of all these different salts we love, the sea salts we think are great for us, in there. And the water still remained acid. He put a pinch of healthy salt and it turned blue. I said, okay, so how do I validate anything that I'm doing? I get regular hair analysis. So what I did is I cut a short sample of hair because a ½ inch equals a month. And so I did a ½ inch sample, took the salt, 3/16 of a teaspoon 3 times a day for 30 days. Then I took another hair analysis. I stopped and just went on my regular life for 30 days, took another hair analysis, and I repeated that process 3 cycles. And so what I saw is every time I'm on the healthy salt, my energy production, my energy ratios improved, my healthy minerals went up, my toxic metals came pouring out. And when I stopped the salt, everything went back down. So it was like my body had what it needed and it thought it won the lottery, and it's doing this exchange. It's like a transformation where the body will always use the most efficient item present when it can. And the other special thing about healthy salt is the ratio of the minerals in it. When I started on this process, it's like the healthy salt's so expensive, it's hard to salt all your food with it because it's so low sodium. I mean, heck, you'd be taking tons of it. So I started thinking, well, if all these other salts are, neutral or acid or don't have very many minerals, what do I want to be salty to my food with? So I went on this research and I found out from the Sea of Cortez, there's another lower sodium, higher mineral salt to use for, salting the foods. But when you get these minerals in your body's doing this wonderful exchange. And, one of the things we have now to monitor this progress, because it really depends. It's like, you know, how many times you go treat yourself to coffee or maybe a sweet dessert or, you know, something. I mean, we can't eat like a saint every single day, every single meal, right? But you can use a pH test strip, you know, yeah, hair analysis every 3 months, 4 months at the most. If you're being a scientist like me, when you do something new, do it every month, you know, with a short hair sample so you can see what's going on. But the pH test strips, ultra sensitive, 0.25 increments. I mean, your strips that you get and the other ones out there do not show the shift. And the reason why I wanted such a tight band is so that we could tell what was going on when we were taking the salt.
Yeah, so you're talking about their pH test strips, and there's other urine test strips that you use that can help show if you're becoming more alkaline, if the salt is, you know, reducing yours, you know, making you more alkaline, and other benefits of the salt. You can see the results of that in your pH test strips and your urine test strips.
Yeah, for the pH, I always go with these because these are just so super sensitive. And so that, like, if you drink a cup of coffee and then you go bathroom and you take a test, you're going to see you're going to drop really, really acid. So how much, because that's not a good place to be. So how much healthy salt do you need in your water to get where you need to be? That's how you can test to see how much you need. You know, if you're eating a really alkaline diet and all that kind of stuff, you're going to, you know, not be as acid. But then the 14 panel, because you want to know more than just your pH. You know, Wendy, you talked about people drinking water and it just running through them. And you can see that on this test, because a lot of people that it's running through them, especially people maybe in a 4 low pattern on a hair analysis, they're going to be dumping lots of calcium in their urine. Or if they're dehydrated, you know, a lot of people are drinking a reverse osmosis water, distilled water, and they're drinking large quantities of it, but they take their urinalysis, high specific gravity. That means it's dehydrated. They're dehydrated. They're not getting the fluids in the cells like they need. And then some people are having protein in their urine. And I mean, but anyway, there's all these things. We have a complete list of what each one of them means. Mm-hmm. They're easy to use. I just use this one as a baseline to see all my arrangements. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then I dose with the healthy salt. I set a reminder on my phone to drink water throughout the day. I mean, there's Habitable. There's all kinds of ones, you know, it's like, oh, have I been drinking water? Then I just put like, I just do this, is I take a toothpick, because this healthy salt is like a powder, right? And so I just do what balances on a toothpick, because if you're drinking a lot of water, that's a lot of healthy salt. I just do it, a couple of those, and I mix them up in there. And then I know that I have the minerals that I need. And it's like a fine powder. It's like just totally dissolved in that water. And then it's more like an electrolyte drink mix. But then throughout the day, you can test yourself and you'll see, like, even if you have a whole bunch of derangements on the 14 panel, with dosing with healthy salt and the water and testing daily with this to see where you're at, you'll find a week later, you go back and do the 14 panel. It's like all these derangements are gone. And, you know, gee, it's like all these things that were negative in my body are like vanished. You know, it's just like that book we talked about before, Wendy, where, you know, you're not sick, you're thirsty, right?
Yes, yes. It's like I love that book.
We need minerals, we need water, but actually salt sucks. They call it salt sucks, because it actually causes your body to retain more water because of histamines and antihistamines.
Yes. And yeah, we did a whole podcast on hydration that is publishing on Thursday on MyersDetox.com. Actually, I think it's up right now. Actually, if you go on MyersDetox.com, Eileen and I did a whole podcast on hydration because this is such an important topic because so many of us, including myself in the past, was drinking water, drinking. I had a reverse osmosis filter at one point, and I was drinking 10 glasses of water a day, and I still felt thirsty. And I thought, how is that even possible? I'm drinking more water than I ever have in my life because I had a new filter and I was excited to try it, and it claimed to like remineralize the water. There's a connector on there, a component that helped to remineralize the water, and it was high pH, but it wasn't hydrating me. So hydration is a very important topic that you guys have to learn more about. We're touching on it here, but there's an entire podcast on like the top 5 ways to hydrate your body, because a lot of people, drink water and they just runs right through them. They have to go pee every 30 minutes, and it's really annoying. And so we talk about why on that podcast exactly. So check that out. And so, but just briefly, why do we need to consume salt to hold on to water and be properly hydrated?
Well, the body has a water allocation method based on histamines throughout the body. And salt is a natural antihistamine, and our cells just don't work without salt. There's been such a low sodium lie out there. Of course, people haven't been taking the right kinds of salts. There's been high sodium in foods that are like the mind toxic stuff. I mean, any sea salt is better than a mine salt. But your body, when it sweats out these electrolytes, and they have electrolyte drinks, Gatorade, and all these other different kinds to replenish sodium, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and all this kinds of stuff. And it's because we have to have those electrolytes for our cells, to function. And so with the healthy salt mix electrolytes, because it's like 25% minerals, that is replenishing your body cells. And with the sodium, it's holding on to water. It's changing its characteristics. So it's gelled, it's thicker, it interacts with the cell surfaces much better. It will tend to get more of a negative charge. And, so, I mean, there's additional components to hydration, and that is the structure of the water. That's why I really don't like distilled or reverse osmosis water, because if you look at spring water under a microscope, there's like sacred geometry. It's like there's little crystals in the water. They found out that water will hold sound. You could play music and the shape of the water will change. Well, the shape of the water affects surface tension of the water. So when you have dead water, like reverse osmosis and distilled water, it's not going to interact with the cell the same way. And so with spring water, it actually is more hydrating. And one of the things in that hydration pack is this disc. It's like 13 minerals in nanoparticles in a disc that I just use as a coaster on my water. You set it there for 20 minutes and it actually changes. You'll be able to taste the difference in whatever liquid that you put on here. And it'll actually satisfy. You won't feel so thirsty when you're drinking the water that has been changed. And that's just because it's able to absorb and interact with your cells in the way that it should be. And
yeah, I love structured water. There's so many different devices for structured water. And this one's called the BioDisc. And it's just so interesting how that works. And there's all kinds of different expensive filters and all kinds of things. But this is a really easy, economical water structuring device that people can use. I love mine. I have it right on my desk here. I put my glass of water on it. And like you said, it's just 20 minutes and the water is completely different. It's so interesting.
And the other aspect, there's also other scientists, the water genius. Anyway, he was saying that structured water needs to become mature by having the right minerals. So just having a structured water device, you got to make sure that you got minerals in that water so it properly hydrates the body. It's just going the next step. I mean, I like room temperature water, and I have one of those ceramic rocks with a dispenser, and I get the 5-gallon spring water delivered because it's a number 5 bottle. And so I just put this inside the water crock. So every time we dispense water, it's already structured. So that's kind of a, cool way to use it. But it's just all about hydration, the surface tension of the water molecule not being blank. So it's not going to strip minerals from your body. It's going to leave minerals in your body. And then, of course, with it being alkaline, with that special blend of minerals, then you're going to actually enhance cellular energy.
Yeah, I noticed such a huge difference when I started structuring my water, because I had that phenomenon where I felt like I was drinking water. I was drinking really good quality spring water, and I just felt like it was going right through me, and it would just drive me nuts. It would make me not want to drink water because I knew it was going to go right through me. And I knew that something was wrong intuitively. When I started structuring my water, and this is without the salt, this is just structuring it. I was retaining more water. I was going to the bathroom less. I felt hydrated with less water. And then when I met you and I started using the healthy salt, I crave it so much. I put a pinch in every single glass of water that I drink. I put it in my coffee. I put it in my juice. I put it in everything that I'm drinking, no matter what. And it's such a game changer. I love it so much. We put a link here for you guys to get the healthy salt. If you want to try it, I just put get healthy salt. And we also created this ultimate hydration solution. So for you guys that want the healthy salt, the restructuring biodisc, and the urine and pH test strips, that's called Eileen calls it the ultimate hydration solution. I put a link there for you guys also, if you want to get all 3 of those and just kind of change your hydration game, change your mineralizing salt game. Healthy salt is what I give to all the clients that I personally work with, people that pay me, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to work with me. This is what I give every single one of my clients because it's the foundational thing you need for detoxification, for health, to calm your nervous system, to feel less stressed, to sleep better. You have to have minerals, and this is the salt that the way that it's processed just helps to give you 25% minerals. Can you talk a little bit about how it's processed? Because that's kind of interesting.
Sure.
Like, what is it? Why is it different?
Well, first of all, it's not circulating in the ocean today. It's a old deposit that's mined. So it's mined out, and then it's put in the shade to debrine naturally. And then they rake it and they wash it and they spray it and they clean it for 3.5 years. And then they put herbs and natural secretive ingredients that they will not tell me. Then they put it in a special pot and they burn it under high flame for days. So they say that this is actually burning off harmful impurities and all that kind of stuff. And so when it's finished, it is like a powder that is 10.72 pH. We have the product testing on the website. If you scroll down to the very bottom of the website in the footer, it says product testing, then you can find the healthy salt. And we show you that it has 0 microplastics, 0 pesticides, herbicides, and then the mineral content per serving, a 1/16 of a teaspoon. And it is packed full of minerals. And when you would compare this to all the other salts out there, it's got so much more of the good minerals. It's not completely free of every single mineral, but it's that we would consider harmful. Neither are any of the other salts, but it's like 0.00. I mean, it's like almost non-existent. So it is the cleanest, healthiest salt that's out there. And, regarding the ratio, because, like seawater is similar to our blood. And there was a French man, Rene Canton, who did a lot of research. And there was a plankton bloom about a mile wide between France and Spain that he extracted seawater out of. And he had a special process where he created a liquid, and he actually removed all the blood out of a dog and replaced it with this solution, and they called it marine plasma.
Mm-hmm.
And people that were just given days to live and every chronic disease known at that time, he was giving injections of this marine plasma, and people were just everything from cancer, you name it, childhood diseases that were epidemic at that time. And he was killed, in the war with Hitler, and over 1 million people came to his funeral. But the interesting thing when I was on the hunt for finding, what cooking salt would I use, since healthy salt is more of a therapeutic alkaline electrolyte, blend. I came across the, analysis of the Canton marine plasma, and the mineral ratio and diversity was so similar to the healthy salt, which is not the case with all the other salts that you get. It doesn't have that special ratio. Yes, granted, healthy salt does not have the marine plasma. You can't, as far as the plankton aspect for healing, but it's a lot more affordable than somebody who would say dose and do the marine plasma protocol.
Yeah, the Quinton is in the glass. They get like 30. It's like I forget what it's like 100, at least $100 for the 30 glass ampoules that you take one a day, and it adds up. But the healthy salt, I mean, I've had this jar for 6 months, and it's still at least half full. I mean, this lasts a really long time.
Yeah, there's several ways to take it, like balance what you on a toothpick, like I demonstrated, in each glass of water, putting 1/16 of a teaspoon in your mouth and actually swishing it around. Because actually no organism can live in a 10.72 pH. So it's great for oral health. Does anybody want to make sure and have healthy gums and, reduce organisms maybe under their gum line or anything like that? So healthy salt, just swishing it around in your mouth, is phenomenal. But if you took 1/16 of a teaspoon 3 times a day, one jar would last you 78 days because there's 238 servings. But I don't recommend that anybody start out there. Yeah. People will be amazed at how little of this salt makes them feel better.
Yeah, and some people, if you aren't mineralized, you probably can only have like a little tiny bit, then you have to work your way up.
Right, exactly, because this stuff is powerful.
It's strong.
And that's why start off with what balances on a toothpick, which is not much, in each glass of water. That's the starting place.
Yes. Yeah. So let's go to some of the questions here for everyone. There's about 95 people on with us. That's awesome. And so let's start with, Ida, hi from Sweden. Thanks for joining us so much. And Steve Perry, hi from St. Augustine, Florida. Curious to know your thoughts on Redmond's real salt. I use that too. I use the Redmond's for cooking, and so like when I'm cooking and having used a lot of salt, and I want that salty sodium flavor, but it's not like a therapeutic salt so much. So can you talk about the differences between Redmond and?
Yeah, Redmond has got a good high pH. And it doesn't it doesn't raise the ORP. So it is a good salt. It's one of the highest sodium chloride salts out there. So it's super salty. So you don't have to use very much of it. You're just not going to get the minerals in that salt. But it's a do no harm, salt. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, because when you have more sodium, like it's kind of tastier. Like I have some salt from Hawaii that I got, and it's so salty. It's more salty compared to other salts, and I have to use a lot less of it. I have to be careful, but where you have more sodium chloride, you have less of the other minerals in
Right.
there. So that's where what I like about the healthy salt. It's very diversified, and it's concentrated. That 3 to 4 year washing process and drying it and washing it. It's concentrated where the others aren't like processed so much. I'm not saying processed like processed food. I'm saying it's just concentrated, goes through a process that concentrates it, the healthy salt does. And so Kim, so I use Redmond 2 and Celtic sea salt. Mia Marhovich, thanks for joining us. So is Celtic salt better than Himalayan? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it is. When I was evaluating, I didn't throw away my Celtic salt. I threw away my Himalayan because, again, it's got a higher pH and it has more minerals than the Redmond salt, but it's still a fairly high sodium chloride salt. But it's not one that it doesn't raise the ORP again like the Himalayan, so you're not having that oxidative damage. But yeah, so it's a salt that is okay. You're not doing harm with it. Just don't think you're getting mineralized.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's better than iodized sea salt. So
Oh,
like,
yes, yes,
say
yes.
Morton, we haven't mentioned that, of Morton sea salt that has iodine added to it. So let's, take that. No, so that is pure sodium chloride. It's very, very toxic to your organs and your system, and makes people very ill. How you go, say go out to a restaurant or something and they're using regular salt, and I just feel so nauseated after I eat a really high salt food, because your body has to deal with this toxin. It has to process it out, because our bodies need sea salt. We need a diversity of minerals that are found in sea salts, but the healthy salt has such a better profile of minerals and so much more minerals than like a regular sea salt. So it's a therapeutic grade salt. So that's why it's a lot better. So I don't ever recommend iodized sea salt. I recommend just using healthy salt. I love your Baja Gold that you
Yes.
salt that's good for cooking, that also is a good nutritional profile, but then just take iodine separately. I was having a conversation with my aunt, and she was talking about how she uses iodized salt, just the regular Morton's table salt, to get iodine. I'm like, you can't take that separately, so that, and you're getting so little amount in salt that it's almost negligible. So don't take salt for the iodine. Just take that separately.
Yeah, and hey, get some clean Icelandic kelp. As long as you don't have a hyperthyroid, I mean, you wouldn't be taking iodine anyway if you had a hyperthyroid, but as long as you don't have Graves' disease or a hyperthyroid, kelp has also a huge blend of minerals, but not all kelp is created equal either, because kelp is mucilagenic. It attracts toxins from the ocean. But if you can get some Icelandic kelp that is grown over those volcanic fissures, you're getting actually vitamins, minerals, plenty more iodine than you would need. And so yeah, please don't use iodized salt.
Yes, please. No.
Add a little kelp instead.
Yes. And so, Maureen, so you're absent. So, hope this will be recorded. Yeah. So, as soon as we're done talking, you can start the recording over from the beginning. It will live on the Myers Detox Facebook page. And I also always post these videos on my YouTube channel on youtube.com/Wendy Myers. And we always send a replay link in the newsletter where you get the notification for this Facebook Live. You'll always get the replay automatically emailed to you if you're on my newsletter. And so Amy Yeager, so what salt is recommended? Can you post the link to it? Yes, I'll post the link to it right now. So if you want to get the healthy salt that we're talking about, and I'm telling you, this will last you literally 6 months to a year. It will last a really, really long time. You can get the link that I just posted. And if you want to get the ultimate hydration solution, which is the the salt with the BioDisc restructuring device, and want to track your hydration and pH with these test strips, the pH in urine test strips, then you can do that right here at this link for the ultimate hydration solution that I'm posting right here. So the next question, so Courtney Marie, what do you think of smart water? That's reverse osmosis water, and they add electrolytes to it. So I'm not a big fan. I definitely am not going to buy that if I have a choice. Usually have to at LAX because they don't have any other choices. Sometimes they'll have Fiji, which I love because it has silica. But smart water, it begins with reverse osmosis water, which is not going to have any minerals whatsoever. And then they add sodium, potassium, and a handful of electrolytes. But it's really going to be just a handful, maybe 3 or 4 electrolytes. It's just really going to be pale in comparison. And plus sometimes electrolytes, they're using sodium chloride, potassium chloride, these very, very cheap versions that are really not helping to hydrate you or helping to absorb the water. So quality also matters as well, in the form of minerals, not just their presence in a water or salt.
I totally agree.
Yes, I think I answered that one. So Kim, let's see. Okay, so how long? So Steve, how long does a jar of healthy salt last? So I answered that, which was about 6 to 12 months is what it will last. And so Brad, so the stomach needs to be low pH to digest protein. So how do you time taking the salt if you're drinking apple cider vinegar for a high protein meal? Wouldn't the alkaline salt counteract whatever acidifying supplement taken like apple cider vinegar or betaine hydrochloric acid to help digest protein? So the body doesn't quite work like that. Just because you're eating salt doesn't mean it's going to lower the hydrochloric acid in your stomach. I mean, the body has buffers in it that help. You can eat an alkaline food and then it becomes acidic if your body needs that. Or you can eat fruit and that will become alkaline, even the fruits are acidic. So there's buffers in your body and your system and your cells that help to, buffer whatever is needed at the time. So I wouldn't fear the alkalizing salt interfering in digestion in any way.
But also, you're not supposed to be drinking water when you're eating a meal either, because you're going to dilute your digestion, all your digestive enzymes and everything like that. So typically you'd be drinking your water with the healthy salt at other times, because you need to actually drink water about an hour before you eat, because through the digestion process, your body then allocates water and releases it through the stomach lining to then help, with the digestion. But, people have salted their food. I mean, before refrigeration, let me tell you, there was a lot of sodium, salt in the foods that people ate. And it just didn't seem to impact the whole digestion like Wendy had said.
Yeah. And so Courtney Marie, so do you recommend adding these salts to reverse osmosis water?
Well, I would definitely structure the reverse osmosis water, because the surface tension, not only do you want to add minerals to it, but you're going to want to alter the structure so it's not like a dead water. I would really recommend, instead of reverse osmosis, getting like a Berkey filter for your area. Some places have fluoride that they need to filter out, others don't. But if you're going to use reverse osmosis, I would structure it, and I would put healthy salt in a little bit of healthy salt in every glass of water that you use.
That's what I do. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of water, reverse osmosis, if you happen to be drinking distilled, which I don't recommend, spring water, filtered water, doesn't matter. It's good to add this healthy salt to every single glass. I add it to my juice when I drink green juice. I add it to coffee because you can't taste it. It doesn't make the water taste salty at all. it doesn't change the taste of anything that you're putting it in. So I just add it just to add to my mineral consumption with everything that I'm drinking. So Bonnie, mhm.
Oh, if you do put the healthy salt straight in your mouth with a little swish, it does have a sulfur taste.
Yeah.
Where some people are actually more sensitive to it than others. Others people say, oh man, I crave it. And then I've had people go, oh my gosh, it's so sulfury, I can't stand it. So they just hide it in their food, and then that's how they consume it. So everybody's different.
Yeah, I really, really crave it. I'm completely addicted to it. So Bonnie, so are you supposed to add it to every glass of water? I drink lots of water. Also, will it affect blood pressure?
So if you're going to add it to every glass of water, you just add what balances on a toothpick. I mean, that's less than a pinch. I mean, it is not much salt. And Dr. Batman Galish, in that book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, he has a whole section on high blood pressure. And his premise is that high blood pressure is chronic dehydration. Because what the body does is it allocates water based on histamine. It's like your knees, the cartilage in your knees take a lot of water, but it's better to keep the bone marrow hydrated than your cartilage in your knees. So your body will allocate the water based on that. It'll let the cartilage die and keep the bone marrow good. And when someone's dehydrated, the body will actually squeeze all your blood vessels to actually create a shower effect to extract water from your bloodstream and then give it to parts of your body. And that increases blood pressure. So, Dr. Batman Galish, he believes that probably 80 to 90% of all high blood pressure is due to chronic, years of dehydration. Yeah. And so he recommends that a person begin drinking water with a little bit, he says, salt with every glass of water. So just take the healthy salt and just what balances on a toothpick? It's hardly anything in your water. Then also collect all your urine. So know how much you drink, how much you're outputting, and then you can slowly increase your water as long as you're releasing it. And then you can become hydrated, because you really should get his book. And then proceed with caution. Very little bits of healthy salt with every water. And a lot of people have noticed that their blood pressure decreases.
Yeah.
Actually, my father, case in point, machinist, he's 81. He's been around toxic stuff his whole life. And I'm always begging him to drink water. He goes to the doctor. His blood pressure was like 180, as high as 200. And I'm going, Dad, you're dehydrated, because they wanted him to take blood pressure medications and he's not on any. And so I started making him put just that much salt in every glass of water. And I was making sure that he was drinking enough water a day. He did that for less than a week and went back to the doctor, and his blood pressure was 130 over 78.
Perfect.
It's just like high blood pressure. No, you're dehydrated.
Yeah,
you need minerals.
And people are magnesium deficient. They're magnesium deficient, and that's a bit. You need magnesium to have proper blood pressure. Also, and you get that in the salt. Not enough. Not all. It doesn't meet all your needs, but every little bit helps. You need quite a bit. And so, Robin Sandine is asking, is there iodine in the salt I'm deficient?
Very little, not enough therapeutic amounts in the salt. We'd recommend kelp. Icelandic kelp is the purest kelp in the world.
Yes. Yeah, and you can't get enough. I believe in taking iodine separately. I don't think there's really any substance except for maybe kelp where you can get adequate amounts, especially if you're not eating seafood. Like, where are you getting it? You have to have iodine to make thyroid hormone. So I think most people are deficient. You need to take an iodine supplement, 1 or 2 drops of iodine. And some water or juice or what have you. Most people need to do that. So I don't really ever worry about getting iodine and salt. That's just some marketing thing that Morton Sea Salt came up with, because there were a lot of people that had goiter in the Midwest, so they started adding iodine to the sea salt, and it just stuck there. People think of iodine when they think of salt, and these are two completely separate things that I think they should be taken separately. So Robin is asking, I'd like to read more on this, how they process the salt. Is there any link or information about it and how it's processed at all?
On the website, we have written information under the healthy salt product. Then we have written information under the ultimate hydration solution product. So there's, and then we have the lab test reports for it.
Yeah, so click the links that I provided here in the comments. And then you can also, from there, just scroll down to the bottom of the website where it says,
product testing.
What does it say? Product testing. And there's some more info there as well you can dig into. And so the next question, so Joseph Smith, hi from Missouri, thanks for joining us. And Robert or Joseph saying, I use Celtic, is that good for you? We answered that earlier, so you probably already answered that and heard that. So Roberto Acevedo, so hello everyone from Denver, thanks for joining us. And let's see, so we answered that question. So Vitally, links are not showing up on the screen. So yeah, we're not gonna have any links showing up in the video, but they're in the comments. If you look down below, they're in the comments. So thank you. So can I add healthy salt to my Culligan reverse osmosis water? Yes, you can. We answered that earlier. And is your salt safe for kids?
Yes, I give it to my 3-year-old, my 5-year-old, and my 7-year-old. And they love it, just a little tiny bit in their water. And they actually like the taste of it better. Always trying to get kids to drink more water.
Yeah, it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to get kids to drink water. But yeah, I'll put a little bit, my daughter Winter, I'll put it in, she drinks mostly water, but I'll put a little bit of her milk, or I'll put some in her apple juice that she's drinking, and she can't taste the difference, because there's very, you can't taste it at all. Like I don't notice a change in the taste of my water at all when I use the healthy salt. So it's not something I think a child would be able to detect. And so I think it's safe for kids because we all need minerals. So it doesn't matter if you're young or old, or you're a dog or you're a cat or whatever your age is. We all need minerals. That's a commonality of all of us. We have to have minerals. It doesn't matter what our age. And our food is mineral deficient. Our food is grown in mineral deficient soil. It is stored for long periods of time. It's shipped for long periods of time. It sits in the shelf in the store. It sits in your refrigerator, and every day it's losing more and more minerals. And our bodies are stressed. We have emotional stress. We have nutritional stress. We have poor absorption in our guts for various reasons. We have EMF constantly acting on us, and blue light, and we all just have lifestyles in this fast-paced modern life that depletes our minerals even further, making it even more important to be thinking about repleting minerals and taking a supplement like healthy salt. I think this is one of the most effective, one of the most complete and concentrated mineral sources. And I think it's a really, really important thing that people need to take as a foundation of all of their health. Like whatever their health goal is, whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to detox, they want to sleep better, or just be healthy. Healthy salt is a good foundational supplement to take to help you meet all of your health goals. So that's just my opinion.
For kids, get the test strips, have them urinate on it, see if they're acid, see if they're dehydrated. And then give them a little healthy salt, and then retest in a day or two and see how their profile improves. That's why I'm so big on these test strips, because some people need a whole lot more of it than other people. It really depends on your health status and what your alkaline mineral reserves are. And so definitely the ultimate hydration solution is the way to go, because you get all those items at a discounted price.
Yes. Oh, I have a really good question from Sabrina. My husband thinks the salt water raises his blood pressure, but I told him that he needs it. So let's blast out this nonsense that all salt raises your blood pressure. This is this just stuff that just like curdles my blood when we have these medical doctors that are just not digging deep at all, not thinking, this is just very basic common sense, and just doctors not even paying attention at all, just telling their patients, you have high blood pressure, avoid salt. That's a death sentence. Okay.
Yep.
You want to avoid sodium chloride, like Morton salt or table salt, or the salt that's in restaurant food or on most restaurant tables. That stuff is garbage. That's a toxin to your body. Sea salt, Redmond salt, healthy salt, these other salts out there, Celtic sea salt, Baja Gold, your body is chemically made of these minerals. You have to have these minerals in order to be healthy. There is no debating that whatsoever. So these are salts that will not raise your blood pressure. They are required for health. They are required to have proper blood chemistry. They are required for your kidneys to work properly to regulate blood pressure. So I think people have to be really, really careful in evaluating some, at least this type of advice that most doctors give, and avoiding salt for blood pressure. It could not be further from the truth. You need salt, you just need the right kind of salt, sea salt.
And anyone who has that issue and wants to learn more, buy that book, go to Amazon, Google Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Buy that and then read the chapter about high blood pressure, dehydration, and then, get some good drinking water with the preferred minerals that your body needs, this electrolyte solution that's in the healthy salt, and then follow the protocol that he describes. You're going to find, just like with my father, high blood pressure, they wanted to put him on medication. It was dehydration, because the body is squeezing your blood vessels. It is basically harvesting water out of your bloodstream to put it where it's needed the most. And that's the main cause of high blood pressure today.
Yes. And so Stacy's asking, so if I buy a liquid mineral supplement, does that do the same as the salt?
I have not analyzed the liquid mineral supplements. However, I did take for years the trace element supplement, the liquid minerals. And, it wasn't until I'm doing the combination of things that I'm doing now that all my health problems have disappeared. And there's a lot of things in those liquid minerals that are in levels that aren't this magic ratio like the marine plasma. So we're just seeing a lot better results from people doing the healthy salt because of the special mineral ratio.
Okay, great. So I'm just trying to address why you guys aren't seeing the link for some reason, but not to fear. Once we are done with our lecture here and educating you guys and answering questions, you can always go on Facebook.com/Myers Detox, and you'll see the video online. You can see the links for the salt there. You can also go on creatrixsolutions.com as well. But you guys should be able to see these links on Facebook. I don't think everyone has that problem. It probably depends on some people's browsers why they can't see some of the comments, but I think most people can see the links. Unfortunately, we have to end the broadcast right now and end the Facebook Live. I know that, Eileen, you're on Facebook, so you can go on the video on Facebook and answer people's questions. I know you guys, we have a few more questions here that we can't get to because we run out of time. But don't worry if you guys miss any part of this broadcast. This is going to go on our Facebook page on facebook.com/Myers Detox, and it'll be posted to YouTube right away on youtube.com/Wendy Myers. You can see it there. There'll be links to everything that we talked about. So thanks so much for joining us today. And we do these every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have like 110 people today. That's awesome. So Eileen, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, and remind people about the podcast that we did that's in much more detail than what we've discussed, and that their questions might be answered there as well.
Yes, we spent a whole hour, actually longer, talking about hydration. So this podcast is not up on my site yet on MyersDetox.com. It will be up on Thursday. So on Thursday, July 18th, you can go to MyersDetox.com and click on podcasts, and you'll see the podcast about the top 5 ways to improve hydration. And we have a much more in-depth talk on the science and osmosis and polarity and ORP and all that stuff. We get very, very deep into all the different tips to dramatically improve your hydration and your health as a result, and your energy and your brain function and your sleep. And being properly hydrated impacts every area of your health, including your ability to detox heavy metals. So really important component of your health that you don't want to overlook the simple stuff. You don't want to be doing all these things for your health and eating this diet and buying expensive organic food and taking all these expensive supplements and then not be hydrated. You're missing the boat. You're missing this very, very basic thing that can be easily kind of hacked. And so we're going to be talking about all these different hacks on the podcast. So check that out on MyersDetox.com on Thursday. If you are a part of our newsletter, you'll just get an email on Thursday for that as well. And so, guys, thanks so much for joining me on the show. I will talk to you guys very, very soon.
Okay, bye.